love song of J.Alfred Prufrock opens Eliot's first collection of poems, Prufrock and Other Observations, completed thanks to the help and advice of Ezra Pound. From Pound, who was the leader of the Imagist poetic movement, Eliot learned how to use clear and precise images. This poem contains all of the themes that will be developed in his later works, such as the contemporary metropolis with its desolate urban setting and its middle-class, disillusioned inhabitants who debate philosophical and existential issues against a background of empty ostentation. This early poem is a series of observations, as the title of the collection suggests, of particular emotions, human feelings and reactions to a specific kind of world. The characters are passive and aimless. They perceive the world around them, but they are powerless to act. However, if the characters are passive, the world around them is strangely active, penetrating into their consciousness. Eliot was influenced by several French poets, from Baudelaire to Mallarmé. But it was Jules Laforgue who was to have by far the greatest effect, and Eliot himself revealed that the true starting point of his work was Laforgue. His early poems are characterized by an original experimentation in diction, verse form, and rhetorical figures of speech. The most distinctive influence on the poems in the 1917 collection is the thought of Henri Bergson. The world of these poetic compositions, like that presented by the French philosopher, is characterized by the split between inner and chronological time, and by the emphasis on memory. Time is a flux, an endless repetition of meaningless gestures. What remains is the record of events in one's memory, unified and evaluated by the mind, which cannot see beyond it. The poem opens with an epigraph and is made up of 4 sections. The first part establishes Prufrock's confinement and isolation in time. The character is aware of his own situation and feels the emptiness of the social events happening all around him. His succession of desires and fears, his longing for beauty and company, are touched by irony and mingled with the mocking sense that they will never be more than private pain. His hopes, aspirations and fears are separated from his public life. On the one hand, he imagines the possibility of life in heroic terms. On the other hand, he recognizes the futility of his daily life. The second section is short, but it contains the failure of Prufrock's will to change his world. The third section emphasizes the contrast between Prufrock's interior and exterior reality again. He cannot act because he fears that nothing in the outer world will correspond with his perception of reality. The fourth and final section opens with his acknowledgement of failure. "No, I am not Prince Hamlet." Hamlet, though torn by doubts, made a choice in the end. Prufrock, troubled with the social expectations, cannot do so. He cannot escape his life, even if it is dreary and mechanical. He can only imagine a different existence. If he sees no actual moment of vivid experience, he seems to hear something strange and lovely, the mermaid's song. But at the end he is recalled to his social world by human voices. A sense of drowning, that is the realization of his own death in life, takes possession of his being. The epigraph from Dante's Inferno refers to Count Guido da Montefeltro, a false counselor condemned to live eternally in a flame for his treacherous advice on earth to Pope Boniface. Guido speaks freely because he believes Dante is like himself, one of the dead, who will never return to the earth to report what he says. This epigraph is not an essential part of the poem, but it describes Prufrock's ideal listener, one who is as lost as the speaker and will never reveal the content of Prufrock's present confessions to the world. Together with the title, it prepares the reader for the experience of the poem, whose leading character embodies the theme of the alienation of modern men. The form of this poem is the dramatic monologue. For Eliot, however, this poetic form is no longer a vehicle for the presentation of an interesting personality, but an invitation to the reader to experience the dismantling of personality. The monologue invites the reader not simply to observe, but to participate actively in the poet's creation, so that Prufrock's agonies become our own in the course of the poem. The meter employed is the iambic pentameter distorted into 3 verse, and the tone used is mock heroic, not only in the author's treatment of the character, but even in Prufrock's evasion from himself. The juxtaposition of poetic passages, for example the epigraph, with everyday phrases and descriptions, is a device employed to highlight the banality of Prufrock's life, and is a search for something more lasting and meaningful. The use of objective correlative replaces direct statements. Objects become symbols of emotions and personal feelings. Therefore, a peculiar kind of imagery becomes the expression of a particular feeling.